Welcome back to the homestead. We're getting very close to our trip to Florida, so we have started making a plan on our route and our destinations along the way. One of the big things I enjoy doing is going into caverns. And not like the really creepy, claustrophobic kind, but the public tour kind.
Ones you can kind of stand up in.
Yeah. Walk through, there's staircases, and not really discovering any new unknown places, like crawling on your belly through little narrow passageways. So, accessible caverns. So we have a few of those that we are planning to see on our way to Florida. We have a pretty good drive to get to Virginia, where the first of the caverns are. So we're planning on breaking that first leg of the trip into 2 stops. We're going to stop somewhere in either Connecticut or Pennsylvania area, depending on how the first part of the drive goes. And we have pretty regularly stayed at the Cabela's that's there in Connecticut. It's a comfortable place. We know where it is. And so that works out well for us as far as having a destination in mind. But if we feel like going longer, there's definitely some options in Pennsylvania between Walmart's, Cracker Barrels, and other Cabela stops. So we're going to play that a little bit by ear.
Yeah, you might ask, why are you pushing to Virginia? And you can probably see behind us, it's white out in Maine. Virginia seems to be a logical point to break and stop and actually get a campground much north of there, and I think it's just going to be too cold to be any fun, really.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of picked a bunch of stuff in Virginia. We're going to stop in North Carolina and then again in South Carolina, and ultimately our goal is to get down to Ocala. I think it is Florida. We have some friends that have a house down there, and we're going to stay there for a while, and then we'll probably maybe kind of hook west a little bit and come back up through, and maybe come back up through, like, I don't know, Alabama, maybe even over to Mississippi. We've got a friend. Is he in Mississippi or Missouri? He's in Missouri.
Missouri,
right?
Yeah.
We may hook back up around like this and come back across, or come up and back through Tennessee. We've got some friends over in western Tennessee. So we're just unsure exactly, but this is where we're headed. This is our known. So our logic here is that we're going to go from Corunna, Maine, way up here, down to Ocala, Florida. And that's probably going to take us somewhere in the neighborhood of, we're guessing 7 or 8 days. So Sue's got her stops mapped out, and we've got the computer going here. So we're going to go ahead and let her talk about these caverns, because she's done all the research on them. And we'll kind of go from there.
So the first cavern that we plan to stop at is one of Virginia's most famous, and that is Luray Cavern. This cavern is the largest on the east coast of the U.S., and it has a 10-story tall great room. It also has a car museum, a heritage village, and a toy town. So it's a little more than just a cavern stop. It's got some other kind of fun stuff to do. It is on the more expensive side as cavern tours go. That one runs about $32 according to the website, and it's a 1.2 mile walk through the cavern with moderate grades. So typical of caverns, I don't believe any of these are actually handicap accessible. That's not an issue for us, but it is something to know if you do want to go and do some cavern touring. If you are using a walker or a wheelchair, there definitely are going to be some greater challenges for you with visiting caverns. The next cavern that we are planning to go to is the Shenandoah Caverns. And this is a 1 mile, 1 hour tour. It's also on the more expensive range at $30. And it's the only cavern in Virginia that has elevator access to it. So this is one of the only ones that you don't have to climb a whole bunch of stairs to get in and out of the cavern. And this one was opened to the public in 1922. So it is one of the longer running caverns that has public access. The next one that we're planning to go to is Natural Bridge Caverns. And this is just a little bit further south. We believe that we're going to stop here on our way to Dixie Caverns. We did call ahead and make sure. They said that their parking lot is very accessible as far as bringing our fifth wheel RV into it. He said there should be plenty of space for us to park and pull around. It's not particularly busy this time of year. Something to take note on is Natural Bridge Caverns is seasonal to an extent. And initially when I looked at their website, I didn't think we were going to be able to go because it is a seasonal cavern. However, they are open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday throughout the year. And then they're open full week in the summer, spring, summer, and fall. So know before you go. Endless Caverns is another one that I really wanted to do. And it's, I believe, the longest cavern system that is in the area. We can't go to that one because it is actually completely seasonal. They do shut down in November. Obviously, we're going to be doing this trip in December, so we won't be able to do that one this time. That's okay. I'm sure we'll be back in the area at some point. Then the last one that we have planned is actually Dixie Caverns, and that's down near Roanoke, Virginia. And so that's almost all the way out of Virginia, headed south. It's supposed to be a really beautiful cavern and has what they call a mirror lake. So the lake is very pristine and clear, and it reflects the cave features in it, so you get a mirror image. So I'm excited to tour that one as well. After that, we're planning on going to Mooresville, North Carolina, which Ryan is fairly familiar with because he used to live in the area, and he says there's a lot of race shops and stuff that we might want to check out while we're down there. So he's going to be our tour guide at that point in the journey.
Yeah, so we're, trying to make these trips easy days because we're working, so we're going to have to be traveling after work or before work in the morning, depending on. So we're trying to make these days, an hour or two traveling. We're not in a terrible hurry to get anywhere. We're kind of figuring we're going to take a week or two to get there, having a little fun. So we found a campground just outside of Mooresville, North Carolina, which is not too far from the last cavern, this Dixie Cavern, I guess it is, that we're going to. And we're going to stop there. We may spend a couple nights there, depending on the weather and everything. And we're going to do a little touring around, maybe go see the Hendricks Race Shop if it's open, or maybe DEI if it's open. Some of the stuff that, you might want to go see right now is not open due to COVID, which is okay. Our goal is to do this regularly, once a year or so. And we'll see these things on the next trip through, so that's kind of the fun part of it. But we'll spend a couple days in the Mooresville area, and then we'll mosey on down to our next stop, which is going to be a national park, which is touted as the nation's worst national park. So, of course, we have to stop there. It's Congaree National Park.
Yep, Congaree National Park has basically built its reputation on, as Ryan said, being the worst national park of all of them, of the big, I believe it's 62 of the large national parks. And we are actually excited to go there. It's mostly a swamp with some really big trees, is our understanding. I like really big trees, so we'll see how that is. One of the big complaints about it is that it is very, very bug infested, but we're hoping that the time of year that we're going is
be cold enough.
Going to be a little bit better as far as bugs go. And it's also the nation's most recent national park. I believe it was founded in 2003, but I would have to double check that information for you. So if I'm wrong about that, we'll put a little comment down below so that you can see what year this was actually made a national park, but it is the newest one. After that, we are going to mosey our way down to Ocala, where our friends are, and that'll either be a 1 or 2 day trip, depending on what we feel like. It's about 5.5 hours from Congaree National Park. So it's a pretty easy drive either way. But if we see something that we think might be interesting, we're going to have to stop off and take a look. It's really about the adventure and about the getting there rather than the being there for a lot of it. We want to make our RV trips really fun and just enjoy seeing all the sights along the way. And one of the beautiful things about this country that we live in is it's so vast and it has so many beautiful different areas that are so unique. And getting out to see those is a big reason why we bought the RV in the first place. So we're not in a rush to get to our destination. We're just going to enjoy the tour.
Yeah, and we're going to bring you guys along for this one. I know in the Tennessee trip we really didn't do a lot of filming. We just kind of had a lot of fun. This one we're going to try to do a lot of filming on our way. Try to show you guys the caves as much as we can, the caverns, the different things. Just kind of try to make a little fun out of it, have a lot of fun with it. And, like I say, our return trip, we don't know, but we're basically, I hit the mouse again. So we're basically starting here, and we're going to push down through. So the caverns are down right about in here, somewhere in this ballpark, we'll give or take. So we're going to push down through to there by stopping one time, somewhere right up in here. And that will be our either Cabela's that we know. The Cabela's is about 5.5 hours from us and about 8 hours or 7 hours, I guess it is, from the first campground we'd be stopping at for the caverns. So we may push a little farther to a Cracker Barrel. We just don't know. We'll just have to play that one by ear. It depends a lot on road conditions, how we feel. Usually the first day out, for me anyways, it's more just getting comfortable with everything again, getting used to everything, and then after that it just becomes second hat. So we'll see how it goes. And then, like I say, we're really kind of looking at our return trip, and we're really wondering what we're going to do over here. And a lot depends on how long we stay with our friends down here and what we decide to do. We may decide to go farther down into Florida and see some friends we have down there. We may decide to turn and burn and head back home because it's nice up here and we want to get stuff in the garden. It really just depends on what we feel like, but we're really feeling like we may end up like kind of drifting back over and up through. There's some stuff over in here that Sue would like to see.
I really want to go see Crater of Diamonds in Arkansas. It's the only place in the U.S., at least the only place I'm aware of, that you can actually dig for diamonds, and you get to keep what you find. So regardless of if you find a 5-point diamond, which is 5/100ths of a carat, or if you find a 5-carat diamond, if you find it out there, it's yours. So that's very, very cool. It is a state park, and you do have to pay an entrance fee, but you can rent all the mining tools, and you go play in the mud, and you see if you can find a pretty sparkly rock. So what girl doesn't like pretty sparkly rocks? So I would like to get over there. If that happens this trip, fantastic. If not, we may make a special trip down there sometime during the spring or sometime next year, but it's definitely on the list.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this right now is we just don't have a huge plan. We will go ahead once we know a little bit tighter about when we're leaving in the next weekish probably. We'll go ahead and we'll start thinking about a campground at the first cavern. But we're really kind of keeping this one kind of loose and just seeing what we feel like, and how things are going. Just in general, we may stay on the road for 3 or 4 months. We may stay on the road for 3 or 4 weeks. It's really hard to know. Everybody asks us, when are you coming home? Like, I don't know. We got the mail service set up. I think that's going to work pretty well. We'll try to do a video on that, but we ended up using a company called Post Scan Mail, and that's pretty cool. So far, it's working well.
We've got a great critter sitter, so Ted and the chickens will be fine back here at home. They've got plenty of feed, and they're all set for a nice snowy winter up here in Maine. Sorry, chickens, we're not taking you to Florida. But rest assured we won't go completely without horse action, because Ocala now has a very, very large horse park. So that's one of the destinations that I'm going to make a point of going to while we're down there. I don't know if I'll talk him into going with me or not. And of course, there is always Disney World, which I haven't been to yet. So maybe that's a this year thing. We might stop in there. Yeah. Lots and lots of course, boating and different opportunities down there in Florida. So we're just going to see where it takes us and make the most of our trip.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. And we'll bring you along for the ride. We'll try to do updates maybe every other day or every 3 times a week. We'll try to get some regular schedule going here on our travel journey and how we update videos so you guys can see it as we go. And yeah, we're just going to go have an experience and have some fun and see if we can't get away from this white stuff out behind me here that you can see, and see if we can't find a little warmer weather. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.